Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. We've got a problem, surprise surprise, with the Clio. We'll do that in a minute. First, let me show you around the boudoir, by which I mean the rear garden. All the time that I haven't spent doing GR over the last few weeks, we've been working on the garden, and look at this. I suppose I've never shown you before, so you don't know what it used to look like. But this used to be an old shed that was falling down, covered in asbestos, just an old 60s, 50s shed. So I've taken it down now, and I'm using it for my timber storage here and there, and it's now this concrete pad, and I'm going to make the world's first nuclear powered or V8 powered barbecue. So I'm going to work on that. Just look at the size of the grill. It's going to be awesome, right? And over here, ouch, got to take that out, where the shed used to be, oh, we had a second shed. Bosch moved it all the way back. That's harder than it looks. Anyway, shed's moved back to the corner. Ignore the rubble mound. No solution for that yet. And town, brand new concrete thing, pad. Not finished yet. For doing exterior car works, like repairing Clios and stuff. That, and the rest of the garden is basically the same. Let's report back to the car. So the super bumpy Fenland roads are really taking its toll on the Clio. What's happening now on the front left side, I'm pretty sure, really loud chirping. Sounds a bit like a bird, but in terms of volume, it makes the whole village turn around, or the whole town turn around and look. Only when turning left, either 1 degree or all the way to kind of 30 degrees or whatever maximum lock is. Oh, and only when it's warmed up as well, which is a bit weird. So after a mile or so, when turning left. Never had this before in a car. So trying to figure out what it is. First had a good look at the wheel of tyre, nothing there. Next checked that the main axle nut here hadn't come loose and we've got some movement or something, that's fine. Next check the brake, disc and caliper, everything looks fine. Suspension, new spring, but everything's basically fine. What else is there? Wishbones and stuff like that, just make sure nothing's bent or damaged. And it's not, it's fine. So I've narrowed what I think is the problem down to 3 things. Let me know your thoughts on this. 1, could be a wheel bearing that's just gone kaput. 2, axle or drive shaft in there, one of the CV joints. I've never heard a squeal or a chirp from a CV joint before, but why not? Or third, can't really see in there, differential. The differential would make sense in my mind why it only happens when you go left, because obviously it's creating the differential in wheel turn left and right on the powered end. And what if it wasn't, what if it was locking or something like that? That would cause the tyre to chirp on the ground, right? It could be that. Here's where I've got to. I think let's obviously just take this assembly apart completely, get the carrier off, change the wheel bearing, and if we're going to do that, we might as well change the axle as well, drive shaft, because if you've got access to something, just change it while it's there if it doesn't cost very much. And this doesn't cost very much. It's 30 quid for a wheel bearing, 60 quid for a drive shaft, and brand new one, so it's 90 quid overall. Just do it and see if it solves the problem, and that would be lovely if it did. If it doesn't, and it turns out to be the differential, then as far as I'm aware, that's pretty much the end of the car. The differential is going to be at least £1,000 as far as I can see. So, like I said, take it all apart, let's do the wheel bearing, let's do the drive shaft. If it fixes it, great. If not, we'll see. Welcome back, valued viewers. Do you want the good news or the bad news? Well, the bad news is, there is no good news. So, here's the problem. I've never worked on a car like this before. I've worked on lots of cars, but none this badly designed and this stupid. So, disconnected the drive shaft, as you do, pulled out the drive shaft, as you do, and it turns out it's directly connected to the differential / gearbox. Never seen that before in all the cars I've worked on. And so immediately 5 or plus litres of tranny fluid just goes over the wife's beloved front yard. I now have the double bonus of the world's angriest wife and the world's worst oil slick, so Greta will be after me, no doubt. So that's problematic. Can't really clean it up until the car's moved, so suck a lemon. Back on with the job. Drive shaft looks absolutely fine. CV joint 1, perfect. Well, fine. CV joint 2, I haven't taken it apart, but it feels fine, so I'm pretty sure it's fine. Wheel bearing, so this is a hub carrier. This is a hub, goes through there with the spline. This is the carrier, the hub carrier, because it carries the hub onto the wishbones, the arms, the steering arm and whatnot. And then what connects this hub to this carrier is the bearing, which you can see, kind of in there, kind of black looking thing there. Now you can tell if a wheel bearing's gone because you can just turn it and tell if it's got a crunch in it. Usually it's, or a play or anything. This has got a tiny bit of crunch, but honestly I've seen loads worse. I've never had a problem, so I don't know. Then again, they are Renault bearings, and anything Renault I've found so far is basically terrible. So it's, I guess we just carry on. Turns out these are the bigger bearings as well. These are the, what they call cup bearings, special, and these are Cup McPherson's as well, which is like a special edition kind of racing pack thing you can get, which is, well, bad as well, because it means I've ordered the wrong bearings. I've ordered the non-cup bearings. So they've got to go back, got to order another bearing here. Drive shaft, I'm hoping is the same with the cup and non-cup. Got no way of knowing, so I guess we see what happens there. So, you know what, I'm not actually finished dismantling. I've got to dismantle this. The way you dismantle all these things here is by using a hydraulic press, which I just so happen to have. So let's press the issue, let's press them apart. Welcome back. Please find attached one new drive shaft, one old drive shaft, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it anyway, but there you go. One wheel bearing that I think is the right size, 84 Mike, that is cup specification. One new ball joint, because might as well just do it. 3 litres of gearbox oil, should have 3.1, but 3 I think it's going to be fine, of the correct specification. The only one thing I see that's wrong is the ABS ring is the wrong size. You'll see. However, it did come with the correct size ABS ring, but absolutely no idea how I take that off and put that back on. There's no obvious welding marks or anything. So, okay, the drive shaft went on super easy. As you can see, hopefully that seal will seal okay. I'll test it out later. Regards to the ABS ring, it's just held on by friction. So just get a hammer and a block and slowly work it off, you know, bit by bit, and then just work the other one on bit by bit. Carrier next. I guess ball joint's going to come off first here. So here's the new ball joint. Never seen one like this before with this weird attachment. I'm not entirely sure how to get it off, but I guess we'll just give it a go. All the ones that I've ever worked on have had a screw top. So much different weird stuff working on a new car like this. Well, new, 17 years old, but that's new for me. Usually it's 30 years older, so all this weird technology is a bit odd, but never mind. Let's try and figure out how to get the old ball joint off. Okay, that was easy, just had to force these two jaws apart and then give it a bit of a hammer and it fell out, so that's good. Next, bearing, big chunk of iron and ball bearings and grease has to go into there, or the old one come out I should say. So you've got a in situ retaining clip on this side here, you've got another retaining clip there, so the way we're going to do it is remove the retaining clip around the outside of the existing one, which is never easy, then push out with about 10 tons of force the old assembly, then push from the bearing, the old bearing, the hub, which is that kind of middle bit with the spline for the drive shaft, then push the hub back into here, all just done with friction and force, make sure everything's clean and greased, then the hub and the bearing assembly push back into there, fit the retaining clip, and that is 1 times carrier with new bearing. I can see where this bearing's failed now, it definitely has failed. So between that ring there and the outer ring of the bearing there, here there should be a seal to stop water getting in. You can see the good one. There's kind of acrylic or whatever it is, plastic seal there to stop, you know, stuff getting in between. And all it is in here. Where is it? In here is kind of a recess, a gap, ball bearings and grease. That's all that's in there. And you can, the seal's gone. You can actually see all the way into the recess. So water is just going to get in. You know where I'm putting that there, and it's all rusted inside. I don't know if you see the ball bearings moving about in there. You can see they're hitting bits of rust and getting, you know, it's just kaput and the grease is all gone. Still can't get this circlip off. It's so rusted. Actually can't work out what to do, so I'm going to have a cup of tea and think. Okay, absolutely would not shift, so I had to go back to the old car adage of just smashing the living hell out of it with cold saws. Cold saws. I have got a cold saw. Cold chisels. There we go. But it's a great opportunity to have a look inside wheel bearing. See, in a wheel bearing, obviously the loads are not just radial, so the loads are not just coming out like you would think, but the car obviously goes sideward, so it needs sideward stiffness, sideward loads as well. So what they do is they mount, try to get this right, well this is the other way around kind of thing, they mount these so that they're kind of on a 45-degree angle, so they're kind of accepting loads anywhere in that kind of plane, pushing that way, pushing sidewards and pushing downwards, and these, if I can do it without them all falling out, will be that way there. These ones will be, you know, doing the opposite force and that way around, and then you've got force all the way, all of the forces accounted for. You can see these little doodads here. This is kind of like a plasticky, I can't remember the name of the plastic. I keep saying nylon. Nylon's not the right word, is it? But that there, it's all just deteriorated. Actually, the ball bearings are in great shape. I thought they were all rusted up, but they're actually not that bad. So it's not as bad as I thought it was. Welcome back. That was 3 hours of effing hell. I've never seen a wheel bearing this bad before. It was just impossible to get out, and I've done my fair share of wheel bearings. One thing is, I mean, it's a very big wheel bearing. It's an 84mm kind of brace bearing, so that didn't help, and it's 17-year-olds, but still, it was hideous. I tried everything. I tried all these tools, everything chucked all around the place, took jacks apart, did everything to try and get the pressure needed all together. On it, hammering, pushing, pulling, went up to 12 tons on the press, and it still wouldn't even slightly shift. So, after 3 hours and lots of beard stroking, went to the old mechanic's trick here. The bearing's absolutely not going to shift. It's just the tolerance is too tight. It doesn't actually rust inside. It's just friction at the end of the day. A cold day, like it is a cold day, really doesn't help. I guess you can get the same kind of things in, you know, aircraft engineering. So you really need to introduce your friend heat. The problem is, how do you introduce heat into, you know, that is, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 kilos of metal. It's just really hard. So, and I don't have acetylene or anything here, I did this. What do you do along the race in the middle of the outer bearing shell? I just did a bead of weld. Just whack the old welder up full power and just try and, you're not trying to, it doesn't matter if it looks good or not, you're just trying to melt the metal and just get enough heat in that metal. And you never get it super hot. You get it hot enough to, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 degrees or something like that, probably, the whole shell. You just open up enough tolerance that I got 12 tons and a shed load of smacking at the same time. Just got it out, which is really at the top of what you can possibly do. Now, if you go any more than 12 tons, because you can obviously get 20, 25 ton jacks, what you'll end up doing, to be honest, is just smashing the whole carrier up. The whole carrier will bend. So I've always been told never to go more than 12 tons anyway, because you'll just destroy everything at that point. You know, that's made for lorries and stuff like that. So, and I couldn't find any other way. I couldn't cut it, I couldn't melt it, I couldn't do anything. So, bead a weld in the middle, get 12 tons on it, smack the hell out of it in every direction possible, and in the end, you can see it's all chewed up and everywhere, it doesn't matter, but nasty, nasty, nasty. Guess we start cleaning things up. Well, I've cleaned down the hub carrier, ended up damaging the ABS sensor, which is annoying, stupid me. Pushed in the wheel bearing, which was again a massive nightmare, but it's done now. Pushed in the hub, just kind of down the other side. Given it a lick of primer, and then if I've got any paint, I'll paint it tomorrow. And then we'll build it up. Ta-da! All nicely primed and freshly painted with the new ball joint in, the new bearing in, and pretty sure the ABS sensor is going to be okay, but I'll test it. Let that dry, and then she's all ready to go back on, so I'm pleased about that. Welcome back, valued viewers. But good and bad, I suppose. The bad is that I, reassembled everything and everything was good, and so I filled it up with 3 litres of the correct fluid over there, and it all leaked out again, which is amazing. Long story short, turns out the collar, on the securing collar on the end of the drive shaft, was actually the wrong way round. When they assembled this particular drive shaft, the person who was making it put the collar the wrong way around, just to add to our litany of problems on this build. So I took the drive shaft apart, reversed the collar, put everything back together, put it back in, bought 3 new litres of that stuff, got it delivered next day, filled it up, and now it's fine. I've tested it with the engine and everything's spinning and everything's fine. So, just one of those weird jobs this is. Otherwise, drive shafts in, greased, carrier, derusted, painted, on. All the main structural bolts are on, McPherson bolts are on, the steering nut is on, torqued, so we've got steering, the new ball joint, you can see down there, new ball joint's on and torqued and in, drive shaft appears quite happy, sensors on, hopefully that still works. So we're getting there. Next, I guess brakes on next. I think that's it. Welcome back, all assembled. I took it out for a drive for a couple of miles and everything seemed perfect. So, touch wood, that's the end of that. It was a bit of a nightmare job, but I'm glad we persevered and got it done. Saved a lot of money as well. The slight problem now is that I can hear a tiny, tiny beginning of chirping on the right side now, so I imagine the right side's going to need doing as well at some point, which is, I think I'd rather poke my eyes out, but I guess we'll have to get that done. We'll worry about that later. I'll see you later.